Hello and welcome to Artist Express. Today we welcome Ethan Martin, a musician who lives in Salina. Glad to see you, Ethan.
Nice to meet you today.
And eager to hear about your work. First thing, why don't you tell us what kind of music you play, or what kinds of music you play?
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess right now I'm a hip hop and R&B artist, so I usually tell people kind of like hip hop soul, because I haven't really done anything that is like slow, you know, kind of like a romantic R&B sound yet, but I've definitely done stuff with a lot more singing oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, I wouldn't say that I rap either, it's just like singing, and there's a good rhythm to it.
Right. And that is one question that I have for viewers who aren't really familiar with the nuances. How would you characterize the difference between hip hop and rap?
Well, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say that there's really a difference. It's more like, I guess a rapper is just kind of like a sub-genre artist of hip hop.
Okay.
So rap just kind of falls into what hip hop is, because I would say that R&B and soul are also hip hop, even though I'm sure everybody knows the difference between that.
So you're using hip hop as the big picture characterization, and then the others as categories of that. In terms of content, would you say that your work do you write all your own songs and so forth?
Yeah, for the most part, not in the sense that I don't write my own lyrics and like vocal stuff, but when it comes to the instrumentals that I use, I do kind of like collaborate with a lot of people. So a lot of my songs are half me and then half of some producer somewhere else, but a lot of the new stuff that I'm working on is completely me. Like I've completely made the instrumentals and sang. So
when you are in performance, what percentage of the performance is improvisation, and what percentage is something that you have prepared ahead of time?
Well, you know, lately it's been a lot more everything is prepared.
I see.
Just because the types of shows, like when I've been playing shows where I get like about 30 to 45 minutes to play at most, which is, in my opinion, kind of perfect. I feel like I've read a lot about how you don't want to let people get too much of you at once, and you also don't want it to be too little. So I feel like 30 to 45 minutes is good. And that's about like 5 songs with talking in between. So I have plenty of music to have prepared, ready to go. But I mean, I also had a band, AM, have had, it's kind of, you know, up in the air.
I know.
But we did a lot of improv work.
I see.
We would get hired sometimes to play for like 2 hours at a time. And honestly, it is just really hard to have 2 hours.
You had to do some improv work, didn't you?
Yeah. And 2-hour rehearsals all the time can't really happen. So it was a lot of improv.
And what venues have you performed in? Always in Salina, other communities? What kind of setting usually are you performing in?
I don't think there's really a consistency in the kind of venue that I'm playing. I think that my music, kind of what we talked about, having hip hop and soul, different kind of like feelings to it, lets me have a huge variety of places that I've played. So I've gone to Topeka and I've played at like bars. And I've been here and I've played at bars. I've played at the Heart of Dixie here, which is a lot more of a laid back, or was a lot more of a laid back.
I've gone to a lot of those Friday night things.
Yeah. So, and then I've gone to Wichita, played at Rock Island Live. So that's kind of more like club bar setting. So.
And you're quite comfortable with that? No.
Yeah.
You're comfortable anywhere, it strikes me.
As long as the crew behind the shows are prepared. So as long as the sound is good, and as long as the promoter is there and actually talking to everybody, then yeah, I'm pretty much comfortable anywhere.
That's great, good. So you really took the leap and have decided to pursue music solely as your livelihood, right?
Yep.
How's that going?
It's going pretty well. I should probably say that I did work a lot, and I managed to have a pretty decent job before I quit. So, you know, aside from just being an artist and writing the songs, I had to teach myself to record them, how to mix them, and all that stuff. So I've been doing that for a few years, which really gave me the platform to be able to stop working. Because if I had to pay somebody to do this stuff every time I had a new song, there's no way I would be able to stop working.
So, and that was one of my questions. What would you consider deterrents to someone who wanted to get started and really pursue music seriously? So the expense of recording would be one. Anything else?
Yeah, I feel like it really depends, because every artist is going to have different things that they're like actually good at. So when it comes to being an artist, you really are, if you're actually an artist as a career or as a profession, then there's really, like, you're only expected to write and release music. You're expected to play shows, but as far as like getting yourself out there, promotion is a whole different job.
Yes.
So that's marketing yourself, that is a hugely expensive task. And that's only just, when it comes to like the digital presence, that's its own job itself, is marketing online. And then when it comes to like booking shows, that's a whole different job. That's like a booking agent or a booking agency, and that is less expensive. You can kind of pay them based on what the shows do. So like they can just take like 10% of what you make.
I see.
Which is obviously no out-of-pocket money.
Right.
It's hard to say no if you get a good offer. There's the recording fees, which I would say are definitely one of the highest fees, just because you have to pay for the tracking time, the mixing time, and there's mastering. Wow. So like it stacks up really fast.
Yes.
So
so you have a studio in your home where you can do all that. How many years did it take you to accumulate all the equipment you needed?
You know, it was kind of, it wouldn't really take that long to get all of the equipment, but you kind of have to learn what equipment you need, because there's so much out there and it all has kind of different functions, or it does the same function differently. So you have to find the equipment that works for what you do and what you sound like.
Right.
So it took like 4 to 5 years for me to figure out the setup that I have now is how I can make good sounding music. I've had the same like speakers, but like cheaper versions of them before, and I'm just, sometimes I'd get mad at myself, be like, why did I try to save money here? Because now I bought those and bought these.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of content, does your music, do you make music that has a social message, or do you comment, does it offer commentary about things that are happening in the world, or is it more just an observational narrative?
Well, I guess I've done all of it at this point. Some of it isn't necessarily released for me to like say go out there and look it up for proof, but it's definitely coming soon. So like the first year of releasing songs, I was doing a song a month, which is kind of just, I don't know, it's just something to let people know that I'm consistent and to be like raise awareness of what I'm doing. All of those songs were kind of just about me. It was kind of like I felt like I was introducing myself to all of the new listeners. And so at this point, I'm just kind of like writing music that touches on, you know, if there's something that really I think is relevant to my life that's happening somewhere else, then, you know, I would write something that touches on that, or just like my opinion on something. You know, I guess my mindset about money, my mindset about work ethic. I don't know. I feel like I've touched on a lot of stuff at this point. I get to talk about myself less now. I feel like. Right.
That you're moving into the arena of ideas.
Yeah, I can have deeper
more
content.
than biography.
Yeah.
What kind of musical training have you had?
So I was pretty much self-taught for most of my earlier life. Like I picked up music right out of middle school, taught myself bass first and then guitar. Well, I really wanted to sing once I started playing guitar, and I got okay at it, you know. I kind of just like thought that I could hit notes right. I didn't really have any technique, and then in high school I jumped into the choir for my art elective, and then from there I auditioned for the what's that one? The selective choir, the one that only like 20 people are in. And I feel like that was where I really learned like all of my breathing technique. I could fix issues, and I could understand like if I couldn't do something that I wrote, I understood what I had to do to get myself there. But before then it was just kind of like just trying whatever I thought was right.
Just looking for serendipity.
Yeah.
And what instruments do you play besides the bass and
guitar
for the work that you're doing now? Because I always think of it as a lot of percussion. Do you use percussion in your recordings?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting now that there's just so, like, technology has changed so much to where I feel like my music has a lot of instruments involved in it, but I don't necessarily have to know the instruments. So I've been teaching myself keyboard and just, well, I should say piano, but I've been teaching myself that for quite some time because I can just plug something right into my computer, load up a guitar, a music box, an organ, and whatever I play on piano is now that instrument.
Right.
So it's really just like piano, drums, guitar, bass,
right,
and then everything else is digital, I guess.
Right. Okay. That sounds interesting. I'm you know, in writing your work, how would you compare your lyrics to some of the more formal forms of poetry? You know, there are books and books about all the different poetic forms, and some of them are very complex, you know, a certain number of lines and they end in this, or they two rhyme and two don't, or whatever. But has that emerged as hip-hop has developed? Have some kind of standard forms emerged that people try to hang on to?
Yeah, like
do you have a
structural
certain a certain pattern that you use more often than others?
You know, I feel like when it comes to popular music, it's kind of just been really simplified down to, I don't know how to say this other than there's just like 4 measures. You kind of just work in like units of 4.
Yes.
So yeah, so like a verse, you know, would be anywhere between 8, or I should say 4 to 16, sometimes 32 measures.
Right.
So you're always just working in intervals of 4.
Right.
I've tried to change that up myself and use like 6s, you know, 10, whatever, you get it, just any 2 in between.
Right.
You can't really go with odd numbers if you have a song that's made up of 2s, 4s, 8s, because unless you do it in a very creative way, because it really will sound out of place, it'll throw the timing off, and it's kind of to the point where, like, when you play a song, you kind of want somebody to just get the feeling the whole way through the song.
Right.
You don't want them to sit there for this first section, they're just like, all right, and then the next section they're like, okay, all right, and then it comes back to, okay, now I get this again.
Yeah.
You know, you just want it to be simple for somebody to understand.
Right. And so do people dance to your music, or do they strictly listen?
You know, people around here really seem to just listen. At first I was thinking it was just for my music, but I've just been to more and more shows, and I think just around here that's just kind of what people would rather be doing. Maybe it's the type of events that we have, you know, because we don't really have late night club setting events here. We have more like organized, I guess I shouldn't say club setting events aren't organized, but we just have like more formal type events, or just more laid back events.
Yeah.
So.
And what kind of collaborations have you had with other artists, whether it's musicians or visual arts or drama or dance? Have you had an opportunity to work with other artists in the community?
Yeah. I've had a lot of opportunities to work with visual artists. Every single, every album, every EP needs cover art, you know?
Of course.
And like I should have mentioned that to the deterrence earlier, because that is actually another expense that stacks up pretty quickly once you like finish an album or like a group of singles. So I've actually gotten the opportunity to work with quite a few. Like there's Maggie May from Lindsberg. I think her new art name is Fleur Designs. Yeah, she likes the floral kind of thing. I've worked with a lot of photographers, including Maggie. There's Dark Art Photography. I know there's others that I can't remember to mention, and then videographers. So definitely more on the visual arts side. I haven't had the opportunity to work with dancers.
Okay.
I actually am working on shooting a music video where that would be really convenient.
Great.
But it's for right now, it's just a plan.
Well, there are good resources here. So thank you very much for visiting with us, and I hope all you viewers out there will make an effort. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yep. Everything, social media and my website are all emartinrnb.
Okay, so anyone who would like to see you perform can check Facebook and find out where you'll be next.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.